It's the final Friday night primetime of 2017, and that gives us the opportunity to give you one more race that you, the iRacing community, voted for. And we're going to head ourselves to Road America, the Verizon IndyCar Series. So get your cheese curds and get your brats and grab a beer, sit down, relax, because for the next hour, it's all RaceSpotTV. Welcome to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Welcome to Friday Night Primetime here on RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacing Live. 4 miles, exactly, is this racetrack. It's been classified as one of the toughest challenges in North American road racing, and it plays host to round 3 of the iRacing Verizon IndyCar Series, a part of RaceSpotTV Primetime. It's Will Vincent, it's Connery Maddock, it's the last Friday night primetime of 2017, Connery, and we are ready to get going.
Yes, we really are. Hello, everyone, and what a race, what a series to finish off the year than the Verizon IndyCar Series here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. As you said, it is Road America, one of the crown jewels of American road racing, and qualifying well underway. Times already on the board.
Yeah, we'll go to that one in just 1 second's time. Here's a look then at this track. As I say, 4 miles, 14 corners, 32 laps here today. That's 129 miles worth of racing. Debuted on the iRacing service back in 2009. Want to give a quick shout out, as we have done all year, to Isvan Balau, Track Cams for Gourmets, Andreas Werner from And One Design, Simon Grossburn from Appgeneer.in, and Nick Thiston from RaceSpot TV. Live timing and scoring, that will be up after the race goes green. So let's have a look at the action on track, shall we? 2 minutes left in terms of qualifications. We've got drivers out there. They have done some times. We're going to get those to you right about now. Let's have a look then. Christian Steele, let's start off with him. He's on the lap right now in the number 4 car. Second place in qualifying. Currently a third of a second behind Adam Blocker. And I'm not sure whether, I think that's going to be it for him. He messed up there down at Canada Corner, so let's go over to Adam Blocker instead. He's got himself, let's have a look, pole position right now, 142.722. His fastest lap time today. He's just winding it back now. Pole position looks pretty much secure for him. Austin Espartee in third, Michelle Constantini in fourth, and Andrew Kinsella rounds out your top 5.
Yes, they do. And then further down the qualifying grid, you have Richard Tam, Matthew Uglotti, Michel Ricci, David Sorando, and Efimenko right now. But that could all change in the remaining couple of minutes here. Some drivers still yet to set their lap times. Kim Short, Ricky Gerhardt, and Alessandro Dalladonde still yet to set a time. Yeah,
Ricky Gerhardt is one that could be interesting to watch. Alexander Dalladonde as well. Number 1, I ranked in this field here today. Working himself through the kink towards Canada Corner. Famous turn number 12 at this racetrack. on board. Let's have a look at the speed as he comes down. Slows it down to 84 miles an hour for the apex. And he messed that one up. A lot of drivers seemingly having issues with Canada. They always do. Through Bill Mitchell Bend. Car actually looks pretty solid there. Now into the final corner, turn number 14 for Alessandro Dallara. Up the hill he comes. Let's see if he's going to set a lap time. Looking Gerhardt will go up into 14th. We're going to have Soronzo up into 7th. And for Alessandro Dallara, he is on to, no, P number 11 is where he's going to be.
Yeah, P number 11 for the Italian driver, and since he is the number 1 car in this field right now, he is the highest iRacing driver, and you would have expected a little bit more than P number 11 for the theoretically the strongest driver in this field, but that of course is on the whole service rather than these cars as a specialty, as we will get towards the end of the qualifying. Kim Short, I believe, actually Ugolotti is still out there circling. We're still waiting for Kim Short to get a lap in, and in fact I spot 2 aborted laps for Kim Short, so they'll be starting right at the back of the grid.
Yeah, Matteo Ugolotti then will be starting P number 8 in that number 7 Target Chip Ganassi inspired car. Qualifying pretty much over. That means that in a moment's time we're going to be able to run through your starting grid for this week number 3 of the iRacing Verizon IndyCar Series on RaceSpotTV, streaming live as ever on iRacing Live. So, front row of the grid here today then is going to be Adam Blocker. Alongside him will be the driver of Christian Steele. You can see there, a bit of a gap there, about 3 and a bit tenths of a second between inside and outside of row number 1. Row number 2, Austin Esparti, 1 minute 43.394. Michelle Constantini in 4th place with a 1:43.610. Richard Townley inside row number 3. Andrew Kinsella will line up alongside him. You see the times then dipping in P number 6 down to the 1:44.1 range. There's row 4. David Taranto and Matteo Ugolotti. 1:44.2 for Taranto, 1:44.5 for Ugolotti there. Michelle Ricky, P number 9 inside row number 5. Darren Caroni on the outside, 1:44.845 for him. There's row number 6, Alexander Dallara, and then Andrei Efremenko from Central Eastern Europe. Very European feel to this event here, Connery. Despite it being an IndyCar race, it seems to be a lot of fun.
A lot of fun indeed, as spotting just a couple of American drivers and Canadian drivers, of course. You've got Pierre Bourdon there as Canadian. You've got Adam Blocker from Carolina. You've got Kim Short from California. So no shortage of North American drivers. Just seems like the fan base for IndyCar has turned out. Yeah, no time then set for P number 18, Kim Short. Everyone else does set a time here today. So let's have a look then at your weather for this event. Partially cloudy, 27 degrees Celsius. It's a bit colder than that in Madison, Wisconsin right now, but I don't think you could probably race an IndyCar in Madison, Wisconsin. Madison, Wisconsin, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. It is that cold up in the North Midwest at the moment. 14 km/h winds. We're going to do 32 laps here today, Connery. Yes, we are, and that does include 2 scheduled stops that your drivers will have to do. And you bring you back to the point about racing in the snow. I'm sure you can fit some of those studded tires to these cars and have a little bit of fun, like they did with the Red Bull in the advertisement out there in the Alps. But pace car has pulled off. In the way we'll get 1 full pace lap here at Road America. It just gives us time to chat things over. Yeah, it does, and it also going on to that 2-stop strategy point means how are these drivers going to do this pace lap? Are they going to be in fuel conservation mode? How many people are going to be in a bit of fuel conservation mode throughout this race? They could well be. I mean, there's no point in running it in the highest fuel mix setting that you can on this pace lap. Just bring it down to that caution lapping setting that these IndyCars have and just save that amount of fuel. That may help you when it comes towards your 2 scheduled stops. The scheduled stops are going to fall in around about the lap 13 and lap 23 area, plus or minus 1 lap from looking at previous race results. So a little bit of leeway in the strategy. Could be undercuts on the cards, but let's see. Yeah, as you can see, the drivers are just working themselves down towards turn number 5. One of the big passing opportunities on this racetrack. If
we're going to see drafting, we're going to see it mainly in one of three places, in towards turn number 1, into turn 5, or into Canada corner. The issue with Canada is you've got the kinks that you need to go through just beforehand. Into turn number 1, it's actually pretty tight down there. Turn number 5, good mixture of both.
Yeah, it really is. So deep moves on the brakes coming down into the likes of turn number 5 and turn number 8, the usual passing spots that you'd expect at this Road America circuit. As we're actually heading down into one of those braking zones right now, the braking zone for turn number 8. I don't see as much overtaking here as I do at turn number 5, but it's still a big opportunity for drivers to get themselves past, especially with a push to pass on exit of turn number 7.
Yeah, we'll talk about push to pass over the course of this race, because that does make things more interesting for drivers underneath the Speedville Bridge, brought to you by Johnsonville, because after all, sausage is all they do. As we're having a look towards the front of your field, Adam Blocker, as we say, at the very front. He will be the driver who will accelerate first and bring the field to the green flag. There's a look from the rear of his car, the Clemson Formula SAE car. Clemson, of course, battling out with Alabama when we get ourselves to the college football playoffs, which will take place on New Year's Day. They'll be actually going out the Sugar Bowl, whilst Oklahoma will be doing battle with Georgia down at the Rose Bowl. So Clemson represented on the car here today, but will there be heartbreak for Adam Blocker, as there may well be in Bama Clemson Part 3? 18 drivers then. 17 drivers have taken the field. Caroni hasn't. Worth noting there. So 17 drivers. That basically just moves one of your lanes, all those drivers, just up a position. As we now work ourselves out of Canada towards Bill Mitchell Bend, turn number 13. Actually, a very tough and challenging corner. Get it wrong, you'll be right there into the gravel, potentially out of the motor race. And then the Kohler Bridge, that little strip of asphalt there, setting yourself up for the braking zone to turn number 14, your final corner on this racetrack. Welcome then to the final Friday Night Prime Time of 2017 here on RaceSpotTV. There is the pace car on towards pit road. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of the year as the green flag is in the air. Drivers, 17 of them, 18 now, will go steaming down in towards turn number 1. Blocker gets a good start. Christian Steele right there now in 3rd place. We go on board of him in that team afterburn machine. Question, do they all make it through turn number 1? Answer is yes. Got a little bit of two-wide racing going on down in your pack. We've got Dalladano and Dalladoni even, and Taranto going at it. We've got Minko going at it as well with Noah McBride. But all drivers have made it now through turns number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now it's time to see them down into turn number 5, Connery.
Yeah, huge move under braking from Niall McBride back in the field, currently down in towards that position number 12, position number 11 sort of position right now, as the field tried to cycle their way through this first lap. It's been relatively clean, which is always very, very good to see. Biggest mover so far is, well, tied between 3 drivers, Matthew Ugolotti, Niall McBride, Rob Ugelins, and Kim Short, in fact. So add 1 more to that 3. Those have all gained 2 positions.
Yeah, out front, it's Adam Blocker, Espati, and Steele. They are your top 3 right now as they work themselves down towards Canada for the first time. Behind, Richard Tam putting the pressure on Michele Constantini. Let's look himself down to the inside, in towards Canada corner, turn number 12. Tam can't quite make it happen, but can he get it on corner exit? The answer to that question is he's going to have to go the long way through Bill Mitchell Bend, and they don't make contact. Fantastic racing. Tam up into 4th position.
Fantastic example of racecraft coming through Bill Mitchell Bend there, and we've still got number 7 machine of Matthew Ugolotti that could have something to say about this. Push to pass slipstream possibly in effect here as he looks towards drivers right hand side. In fact, no push to pass. He's saving it in these early laps. There's Kinsella behind that may make a move around the outside because of Ugolotti's compromised line down in towards turn number 1. Slow through the apex of the corner. Has to go defensive now for turn number 3. Kinsella all over the back of him looking to make the move. Cut back move potentially off of 3, but he's not going to get it.
Yeah, and Andrew Kinsella has to remain for the time being in P number 7. Well, of course, whilst that was going on, those drivers, Tam Constantini, they have lost 2.5 seconds on that opening lap to your top 3 drivers. So that is one thing now that they are going to have to work together to try and get themselves back up towards that leading trio, or they're already at the end of lap number 1, resounded to just be in P number 4 backwards, unless, of course, something happened to drivers ahead of them.
Yeah, drivers from P number 4 down really have to do something at this point. Otherwise, those top 3 are just going to completely check out. And speaking of checking out, Adam Blocker is starting to completely check out from Christian Steele and Ospin Espati as well. He's pulled out what's going to be a 1.3 second gap as they head their way through the kink for the second time in this event. Blocker, he's just saying goodbye.
I'm trying to work out how many times I've seen these 3 names racing each other. Adam Blocker, Christian Steele, Ospin Espati, through 15, 16, 17, and of course, into 2018, these guys have and will do battle. Christian Steele started off as an oval specialist, has moved himself to work more on the road side as well. Same actually applies to Ospin Espati. You'd argue the best pure road racer of the 3 is Adam Blocker, who is leading out there right now. It's just having a look down through the field. Oh, we got a car off. David Taranto, final corner.
Yeah, Niall McBride also involved in that one as a couple of other drivers dropped down the field. I think it was Andrei Efimenko that was also perhaps collected in that one. Yes, actually, he just basically spooked himself on the brakes coming out of the corner. The instant that did cause all of that, Soranzo getting his own bit of oversteer over the curb through the final corner. Niall McBride had to take avoiding action, did collect a little bit of contact for his troubles and spun himself against the concrete wall as well.
Yeah, there's a look then again from Soranzo. You'll see Soranzo's the first driver to spin. Second in line, that's going to be Niall McBride. He's going to make that spin there. And you see how close it was with Niall McBride. The number 11 machine of Efimenko was the driver then who also had to try and get that car pointed back in the right direction. Those 2 are now pretty much at the rear of your field, although Niall McBride is actually now classified in last place for the time being, P number 18. So that's the situation. 3-car incident then on... now McBride's off again. I think he's got suspension damage. He's going to have to find a way of getting that car on towards pit road. Otherwise, that race will be done for him. Rob Underlink's rear versus Jussi Nieminen for the final spot in your top 10. Underlink's Michigan born and bred, number 12 car. Jussi Nieminen, Club Finland, Suomi, World Cup champions. Currently in the 10th place. And again, these 2, how many times have we seen him racing over the past couple of years, Connery?
Just many, many times, and it looks set to. The stage looks to be set for them to fight again. This time for getting in towards that top 10. Battle for P number 10 it is going to be. So potential gains of iRating potentially on offer for these drivers if they get themselves a little bit further up the field. But at the front of the field, they basically completely checked out now. Here comes the number 10 here as Andrew Kinsella tries to make his way down the inside of Ugolotti, the number 7 machine, down into turn number 1. That move was unsuccessful, will drop back by the time turn number 3 arrives.
Yeah, the gap is about 3 tenths per second. Ricky Gerhardt versus Pierre Bourdon. Pierre Bourdon moved himself up a position. I think that was a pass by Pierre Bourdon. Indeed it is. Let's have a look on board of him. Using the overspeed, the push to pass here. As Pierre Bourdon moves himself down to the inside. It's a very narrow front straightaway. Wait a minute. Whoa, 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 whoa. There's someone racing a Starbucks car and it's not Will Vincent. What is going on here, Connery?
I think that's, I think that should be illegal.
That's intellectual property theft, in my opinion.
I know.
Ricky Gerhardt, number 16 machine, Starbucks racing machine. We're going to have some talks after the race on that one. Adam Blocker, though, continues to lead. The top 3 have now spread out a little bit. Blocker got that gap up to about 1.2 seconds early on. He hasn't actually been able to go any faster than that as Soranzo spun it. Again, number 6 machine. And I think this was on the exit turn number 6 this time. Let's have a look on board of him. Oh, he's very skittish through the corners. Into turn 7. Yeah, back end came out before he even made the apex there.
Yeah, just a complete catastrophic loss of, the back end, coming through that right-hander. Just tried to hold the slide all the way through the apex, but these IndyCars don't really slide all that well on these road circuits, and he'll have to try and get that car spun back around. He does have a little bit of damage to that front wing there, so that could potentially be affecting things. Maybe there's a little bit of suspension damage that we can't quite easily see either. As a result of that incident a little bit earlier on. We'll have to see how well he does throughout the rest of this race.
Yeah, we were talking about the top 3 before that happened. I'm going to put the lap gaps up then for Adam Blocker, left-hand side of your screen. and Christian Steele, second part of it. Now look at that. I mean, he did gain 3 tenths per second on lap number 2, but he's only chipping away and moving ahead by about a tenth of a second a lap. He seems to be faster in sector 1, still seems to be a little bit faster in sector 2, and they're about equal in sector number 3 here this afternoon.
Yeah, could be a little bit of a different setup philosophy between these two cars. Just Christian Steele running a little bit lower downforce gives him that advantage in sector 1, but Adam Blocker through corners like these with perhaps a little bit of a higher wing setting, he's going to be absolutely monstering this carousel, and he in fact does pull up the gap to 1.8 seconds.
Wow.
Remember, it was 1.4 seconds as they headed the way across the line, so Blocker, these high downforce sections are really, really working for him.
Yeah, 1.8 seconds is the gap then. Actually, I just think this is a good lap by Adam Blocker because he was a little bit faster than I expected him to be over Steele in sector number 1 as well. So that's the battle going on for P number 1 and 2. P2 and 3, Steele and Espartee. Steele has pulled out now 2 seconds over Espartee. So it's a bit stagnant right now in terms of your top 4 drivers. They've all got almost equal spacing around them. And now it's that part of the race when they've just got to make sure they hit every apex, and that is easier said than done with the weather conditions here today, especially with that 14-kilometer-an-hour wind.
Yeah, exactly, and that 14-kilometer-an-hour wind is coming in from the northwest, so that is basically a crosswind as you head down in towards turn number 5, coming from driver's left-hand side, if I am reading my compasses correctly. So that could be a little bit tricky in the braking zone coming down into there, but we still have this good fight going on for P number 4 downwards. Constantini, Tam, Ugolotti, and Kinsella right on the back of this train. They're not close enough to be pulling off any moves yet, but any more bunched up, and there are going to be fireworks. Yeah, there is Richard Tam, number 13 machine. Love the livery on that car. Got a bit of Pepsi on there, a little bit of Snoopy on there. Got the Lionheart logo, of course, from Dan Weldon, who did so much work before his untimely death at Las Vegas to actually make this a safer, faster, more durable IndyCar. And you can just see, oh, a bit of a wiggle there from Constantini on the exit of the hurry down. I will say that turn number 8 is very deceptive. It's probably the flattest corner on the racetrack, but you turn in, you get on the gas too early there, and you are going to run wide. You don't often see people spinning there, but you do see them pushing off wide. Yeah, you definitely do, and there's no basically insurance policy on the exit of that corner, because as soon as you push wide over that curb, there's grass, there's gravel. This definitely is a classic circuit in that respect. It's basically the same all the way throughout this racing circuit. No margin for error if you push wide, and how we would love to see that again in the Formula 1 series, but less said about that one, the better, as these guys head themselves on towards lap number 7 of this event right now, halfway through your first end. Yep. So for those of you just joining us, it's 2 stops to the end here today. Doesn't matter if you think you can save fuel, it is going to be a 2-stop event. So these drivers are now halfway through that first stint, and some of these people are thinking, okay, can I afford to come in a lap early and do the undercut? People like Ugolotti, for example, people like Richard Tam, they might be thinking about doing that to try and get ahead of Michele Constantini. One thing worth noting as well, this pit road is deceptively difficult because you go up a hill, hit a bump, have to slow it down, not lock the brakes up, you know. Yeah, you know, definitely, and it is very, very difficult, and you can also use the hill to your advantage because you're braking on an uphill. You can use that so that you can brake much, much later going in towards those yellow cones to try and get your speed down towards the pit road speed limit. I've seen some drivers absolutely ace that pit entry and gain multiple tenths of a second over their competitors. Michelle Ricky moving up a position there. Now in P number 8 in the number 3 machine. Moving past the Padres cars, a lot of sports liveries on these Verizon IndyCars here today. There is Alexander Dallara with the Padres logo on that one. It is Padres, right? We'll double check at some point later. There is Dallara currently in P number 9. We've had 3 people make pit stops here today. Caroni started this race on pit road. We've had Nell McBride make a pit stop here, and also David Taranto. Those 2 drivers were involved in that incident earlier on here today. Nell McBride clearly had some form of suspension damage. We think the same, either wing damage or suspension damage for David Taranto, and that is why he came down on towards pit road. Kim Short. Oh,
That was close.
Yeah, that was Jawad Karoni there sliding across the apex of the corner. What happened between Short and Karoni? Karoni tried to send one down the inside at Canada corner, but just snap over. He just locks up the brakes, snap towards the apex of the corner, and oh, we just narrowly avoided Short's car.
Yep, there's a look at Kim Short. I wanted to probably see that one from David Karoni. Let's have another look on board with this car. Down through the kink, and you see this is where you get the huge overspeed. If you get that push to pass, tries to launch it down the inside, and you know what, I've seen that happen so many times before. Under braking on the inside, if you touch that white line, you're heading straight for that concrete barrier. I've seen it in ISOWC action before, I've seen it in 16th Street Racing League action before. It is a lot harder as Richard Tam's around. We've got another car turnaround as well. That is Andrew Kinsella. 2 car incidents, turn number 8 here in this event on lap number 8.
Ooh, and that is, oh, that's just Tam being slow in the middle of the corner, and Ugolotti, he had quite a lot of time to react, I think. He just runs straight into the back of him, turns Richard Tam around. Yeah,
and as a consequence of that, we had a second car turned around as well. Let's have a look at that one again, on board with Richard Tam. Now, Tam had been dropping a little bit further back. His tyres maybe overshot a little bit. And there's a secondary impact. Richard Tam is going to have to nurse that car back on towards pit road. Try and see whether we can get some repairs. There's a little bit of damage to the rear wing on that car. The issue is, though, if he comes on towards pit road now, will he be able to make it to the end of the motor race? You can see he's going to try and keep it out to make sure he can still do a 2-stop strategy.
Yeah, exactly. He has to make a couple more laps with what is very, very severe aerodynamic damage to that machine, and probably a little bit of damage to the suspension as well, as he is oh so slow, even in a straight line as well. So all those bits of bodywork sticking in the air definitely is not going to help the drag of that machine, as you see Nieminen is closing down very, very quickly on the stricken number 13.
Matteo Ugolotti out and away. Number 7 machine. Making a pit stop after that incident. 9.4, 40 seconds on the lane overall. Worth noting that when you come back on track, it's actually a very tight merge back onto the racing surface there. So let's have a look as Richard Tam is going backwards in a hurry right now. Kim Short is just being passed by Derek Karoni. That's down in towards turn. Oh, and lost it.
And Kim Short is around, coming down into turn number 5 there. And was it the same case but in reverse here? Like we saw down at Canada corner, we saw Karoni get the brakes all locked up and spun towards the inside, and Kim Short did exactly the same thing coming down into turn 5.
Hitting that white line. That's the thing at Road America. I mean, let's be honest. It's the same at most racetracks. You know, don't touch the white lines. But because this track is so narrow, especially into like turn 1, turn 5, Canada, there's always that trying to make the most of the racetrack as possible. Now, Kim didn't actually go on the outside of turn number 5, like a lot of drivers do to try and save a bit of time. But what happened there, touching a white line, there you are, bish bash bosh, you spun around. Rob Ugerlinks, you see Nieminen going on right now, as Nieminen, I believe, has fired away past, and Ugerlinks actually on towards it. No, that's Kinsella, on towards pit road, number 10 machine.
Yeah, exactly. He will try and find where his pit crew are going to be waiting for him. A little bit of damage to that rear wing of that machine and the driver's right-hand side pod there. So that could potentially be an issue. In these IndyCars, they can't really repair those side pods all that well. They can change the front wing, of course, but they can't do much about that side pod damage there, as he will go up on the tracks to take his service. Richard Tam also in, of course, to try and get at least some of that damage repaired, but I don't think they can get all of it.
No, it's going to be a long wait potentially for both of these drivers, revving the engines nevertheless. Nieminen got himself past from Ugerlinks there, if I remember myself correctly, battling it out for P number 7 on track. So a bit of attrition starting to come in here right now. Also to let you know, Adam Blocker in your race lead, gap now up to 2.5 seconds, 2.6 actually, over Christian Steele. That's actually right a lap on board with your race leader, Adam Blocker, RaceSpotTV, fan immersion. Still more racing to come here tonight on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live as we close out our broadcast for 2017 with a treble header. We start off with Red Bull Global Rallycross. That will be at Lucas Oil Raceway, Rallycross style in Indianapolis, before we head ourselves over to Knoxville for the World of Outlaws late models, followed by the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series at Lanier, right opposite Road Atlanta. 3 more broadcasts 2017, Connery, and it's all about getting dirty.
Oh, yes, it is. And talking of that global rallycross, I'm hearing that a certain Mr. Scott Speed may have maybe gotten his iRating high enough to challenge in that first split. So it would be a challenge between Mitchell de Jong and Scott Speed in the top split, 2 GRC drivers. That would be just a brilliant showcase.
That certainly will be awesome, as Ravungling's then coming out on track once again. Number 12 machine, back out and away. Christian Steele, by the way, has made himself a pit stop, as has Austin Espartee. 9.2 second pit stop for Steele, 9.4 for Austin Espartee, although Steele was slower end to end of the pit lane, so not as confident then in that team afterburn. Number 4 California car to really attack pit road, or maybe just playing it safe. About as safe as a Bitcoin transaction down at Fukushima.
I don't even really know what else to answer that one, Will, as yes, your leader is on towards the lane now, trying to find his box, and I don't expect any changes for position to result here unless something goes horribly, horribly wrong in the pit stop phase for Adam Blocker. Gets into his box just fine, does not overshoot, goes up on the jacks, waiting for those tires, waiting for that fuel to go in. Michelle Ricky will also get themselves down on towards the lane as well. Christian Steele's coming down the pit straight now, but Adam Blocker is off and away relatively safely with a good margin.
Yeah, and he gains a second actually over all of his competition through the sequence of pit stops. That's because he did an 8.7 second pit stop there, compared to a 9.2 for Steele and a 9.4 for Austin Espartee. Ricky Gerhardt, as you mentioned, on pit road as we speak in the copyright infringed number 16 machine. Club Diaz driver coming down on towards the lane. And Gerhardt's going to make a pit stop. Pierre Bourdon's making a pit stop right now. Bourdon is actually going to be out and away in the number 17 Team Horner SSR car coming out, and that will be 9.8 second pit stop for himself. And total time on the lane, 40.9, running a Charlie Kimball inspired machine. Of course, raising awareness for type 1 diabetes.
Yeah, that's a fantastic cause to support. Some drivers love to put charity logos on their cars to show their support for those particular organizations. It's a brilliant thing to see in sim racing, but battle on for P number 12 as they come off of the lane, coming down to the back straight now towards turn number 5. Andrei Efimenko currently trying to chase down UC Niemanen here in the number 14 machine. 0.4 of a second quicker on that last lap was Efimenko, quicker on the pit lane as well, I believe, as yes, it's the lane time that's all important here. He was a second faster on the lane, but the pit stop times were absolutely identical.
Yeah, within about a tenth of a second of each other. As Efimenko then trying to close down UC Niemanen, P number 10, P number 11. One driver hasn't yet made a pit stop. That is Kim Shaw, of course. Kim has been around a few times in this afternoon's event, not yet made that journey on towards pit road. Would most likely expect that to happen as the driver will work through, a big hit there of the inside curve down at Bill Mitchell Bend. Through turn number 14, expect to see that car turn right up the hill. Yep, there we are, and they're slowing down. Conservative entry, I would say that.
Yeah, no need to be all that aggressive coming up into there if you're not battling, especially for position. As the number 15 driver will head their way down on towards their it's eventually going to be heading towards their pit stalls. There's actually battle on the pit straight. Efimenko in the number 11 and UC Niemanen side by side down into turn number 1. Deep on the brakes goes Efimenko. He might have gone a little bit too deep, but no, he manages to get it stopped for the apex, and that was a pretty easy pass for him.
Yep, so move Andrei Efimenko up one position. Let's have a replay then on board with UC Niemanen. You just see. Down to the inside will go Efnienko. Using the overspeed. You're right, it did look like he overshot the entry into turn 1 just a little bit, but managed to hold it on there on the inside line. And again, as the track rubbers in, the racing line, you can start doing a little bit more down there. As you get more rubber, a bit more grip, even though technically the line he took was kind of off the racing line. You kind of arch it into that corner down at 1.
Yeah, it could have also been a little bit of a more conservative entry for UC Niemanen as well, heading down into that particular corner. He broke it a little bit earlier maybe to try and make sure there was no contact between himself and Andre, but Efnienko, he'll be heading his way off and away. He's already pulled out a good couple of tenths of a second over Niemanen on this stage. And I'm just looking through the timing board right now because Joad Coroni, even with his earlier couple of incidents, he's running some very, very competitive lap times right now. At the end of that last stint, he was running lap times of inside the top 5 region that they have been running. So he could be a big force coming from that pit lane start. Yeah, and now we got a lot more separation between the drivers. That will help the people who's got the raw pace in the second part of this event. We're going to hit halfway. Not this time, but the next time drivers cross the start-finish line. So drivers like Efnienko will have the opportunity to maybe move up. Now everyone has done their pit stops. Let's have a look then at the movers and shakers in this event today. As we get close to halfway, top 4 are as they started. Blocker, Still, Espati, Constantini. Matteo Ugolotti is up 3 places. Alexander Daladon up 5 places. Ricky up 2. From Ungling, so up 8 places. And that's the one you were talking about a moment ago. Andre Efnienko right now, who's 1.7 behind Rob Unglinks. He's up 3 spots. Yeah, fantastic to get himself all the way back through this field qualified P number 16, of course, after what was a pretty lackluster qualifying for him. It's fortunate that he could make his way all the way back towards the front. Is actually Richard Tam, Pierre Bourdon currently battling, and in fact that was Tam very, very slow off of turn number 5. They did make a little bit of contact coming down through the apex there. Both cars lock up the tires, and wow, they're very lucky to get away with relatively minimal damage. Yeah, so let's have a look on board Efnienko for a moment. Just having a look then, let's go back to the front of your field and let's have a look at this gap between P number 1 and P number 2. Adam Blocker, last time by, well, let's have a look. He did himself a lap, a second faster than Christian Steele. So Adam Blocker really starting to turn the screws now. He knows he's got 1 pit stop done. He knows he's got 1 more to go. Steele looking as though he's going to have to really start thinking about Austin Espati behind him instead of looking forward now. I mean, if you just look at the lap times just tell pretty much the whole story, because Christian Steele, he lost 1 second, 1 whole second on that last lap alone. So it's becoming completely obvious to me that he can't run the pace of Adam Blocker right now. And Adam Blocker, all he needs to do is try and get this car towards the end of this event. A side-by-side racing down the pit straight it will be, again between Tam and number 13 and Pierre Bourdon. And Tam will just hold on to that position down into 1. And these guys, they've been fighting over the past couple of laps. It's great to see. They seem relatively similar on this. Yeah, there is Pierre Bourdon down in the 12th position right now. Richard Tam just ahead. And let's look at the lap times. You just see last time by Pierre Bourdon 4 tenths per second slower than Richard Tam coming down after pit stops have occurred. Don't forget as well, 2018, we have got more IndyCar racing coming back. We are pleased to announce the Classic IndyCar Series will return in 2018. One of our favorite series here on RaceSpotTV. Coming back to iRacing Live as well. Running it on the older IR0509 cars. And they run full race distances once every 2 to 3 weeks. You can catch that one all 2018 here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. And of course, we are the home of the 2018 iRacing Indianapolis 500, the fastest, greatest, most unpredictable race in the world. And here's a stat I want to leave on the table as we end 2017, Connery. We've never had a 2-time winner in the broadcasted event, although we've now got a number of drivers who I think have got the opportunity to go for number 2. Tim Holgate has come oh so close before, as has Tim Doyle. There's a number of drivers entering 2018 looking at that shot
at Sim Racing Immortality. Some drivers looking to go for 2.
Yes, they are, and well, even one more driver to add to that list. I believe it was Austin Esparti that won the 2017 race, and as you say, Tim Allgate lost out on the chance to be a 2-time Indy 500 winner by what was about a front wing, pretty much at the end. So that's the margins that can possibly happen in the Indy 500, and that's why we love it so much. And can you give us another month of May hype sort of thing here? Well, I'm dying to wait. I can't wait. I can't wait another couple of months.
Hey, it's only 5 months until May. Get ourselves in the new year, and the countdown will be on to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, of course. Looking forward to a lot of changes happening in the Verizon IndyCar Series as well. We've had this DW12 for the last few years, since 2012, as you, of course, would expect. But new aero kit coming to this car in 2018. Of course, the first question is, and we don't know the answer, so we're not going to give a spoiler away here, but when, of course, are we going to get the 2018 aero kit on this beast of a car? I'll tell you one thing, Connor, it is very beautiful looking, and actually, when this DW12 came out, people called it a bit of a dog of the car. Compare that to the F1 cars at the time, I actually thought it looked more natural. Coming to 2018, I'd say the same thing again, but we're going back to having a little bit of a hint of kart cars in the late 1990s.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful, and I do agree with you that, well, the new bodywork design for the new IndyCar does look absolutely fantastic. Just looks fast and very, very sleek as well. But back towards this race now. I've just been watching that number 11 car of Andrei Efremenko. He's been absolutely flying out there over the last couple of laps. Yet again takes another 0.2 of a second out of Rob Uglings there, as actually he gets a storming run coming through turn number 1. Good challenge coming down into turn number 3. On the brakes, he's going to go side by side through there. Yeah,
and he moves himself up a position then. So move on Efremenko up 1 spot. Uglings trying to come back down the inside as they work themselves towards turn number 5. Can Uglings try and make the cutback then? No, he can't. Was right there in the draft, but Efremenko had enough speed on the exit of turn number 2 that he didn't seem vulnerable on attack as they worked down in towards turn number 5. Efremenko's next victim is only 15 seconds up the road. So I think for now, that's all we need to focus on Efremenko for the time being. Behind, we have got Pierre Bourdon and Dan Caroni going on, but that Efremenko battle is pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, it really is, and the case is now, can Efremenko pull away? He pushes quite wide through the middle of the carousel. Of course, that is kind of an alternate line through there, but you have to be careful because the drivers that are running a tight inside line are going to be throwing out marbles onto that outside line, so when you push out into it, that rubber is just going to stick to your tires and result in a reduced grip. So a little bit of an interesting one there from Efremenko as he looks to try and pull away from the number 12 machine, but you quite rightly say that Drud Caroni, Pierre Bourdon, that is a battle that is still on. Almost identical lap times the last time by.
Yeah, indeed. So let's have a look there. Bourdon, Caroni, that's say 5 times per second separating those drivers right now. Keeping an eye on Austin Esparti in 3rd place right now. Just having a look at his lap times. He has fallen back now to 6.4 behind Christian Steele, and he lost 2.5, almost 3 seconds in the space of the last 3 laps. Now, lap number 19 of 32 here. It's a long race in the iRacing Verizon IndyCar Series. I mean, yes, GT races go on for as long, if not a little bit longer sometimes, but you'd argue that compared to a GT car, as Bourdon does actually lose that position, and he spun it around.
Yeah, he does. Turn number 1, it was a battle trying to go through the middle of the corner. Caroni just spotted a gap emerging on the exit of the corner, just tags the rear right bit of bodywork there, the wheel hub there, and just like, oh, it's just such an unfortunate incident. It's just like so thin margins there, and Caroni, even though it is such a thin margin, he is going to be the one to blame for that one.
Yeah, on board with Dallara Caroni then, as we have a look on board the replay from him. You see, he immediately starts braking. Actually, he was happy to go behind. I just think that because Bourdon had himself a bit of a slow run through the centre of the corner, Caroni thought, okay, I'll go down to the inside, get myself the momentum down into turn number 3. And actually, no, it didn't work out for him, unfortunately, but he's still racing. Pierre Bourdon is out of this event.
Yeah, absolutely major damage to that number 17 machine. Not going to be continuing with how ruined that car is. But yes, you see Neiman and Richard Tam still out there battling on track. In fact, that pass did happen coming down into Canada corner.
Got it live. Richard Tam now up into the top 10. You see Neiman down into P number 11. I was talking about fatigue, actually, Connery. Because, yeah, GT cars, you know, they are a handful to run in their own way. But they're not as physical as these Verizon IndyCar Series cars. I would say they're one of the hardest cars on a road course to really get around a racetrack. Because, yeah, mentally, I would argue the McLaren and the Williams Grand Prix cars are harder. But physically, I think this is right up there with some of the hardest in the entire service.
Yeah, it absolutely is. When you think, when you think about those Formula One machines, they have power steering. There's not much effort to turn the wheel, and in these IndyCars, no such thing as power steering. It's all very mechanical in that cockpit. So it just does take a strain on the drivers, even in this simulated version, because that force feedback is just going to be so exacerbated with the lack of power steering. I felt it myself when I've tried to drive these cars. It's just a workout, especially if you have one of those pretty pricey sort of direct drive wheels.
Yeah, indeed so. So there we are. The gap between Neiman and Richard Tam is actually growing very quickly. David Toronto is on pit road right now. I'm just trying to work out. I think this might be because he had an early pit stop, of course, after he had that incident earlier on, which means he's on pit road earlier. And Constantini, what's happened to him?
Oh, he's around major damage to that Vortex Sim Racing car. And oh my god, it's just a single car incident coming out of Canada corner. Usually we see incidents coming into Canada corner, got out wide onto the gravel there. A little bit of margin for error with the curbs there, but still, that is a weird incident. I thought he was going to manage to get it back on track, but no, just as he clips the grass while he rejoins, he hits the concrete barrier on the left-hand side.
Yep, so there we are. Replay first from outside. So yeah, just fishtails that car. Normally, as soon as you get yourself onto that kind of very wide curb, you're all right. Constantini on board this time. Into Canada, touch the white line on entry, pushes wide, onto the gravel, fishtails that car. Just looks as though he got too much dust and he just had no steering all of a sudden.
Yeah, I did say we usually see instance on entry to that one, and basically you could argue that running a little bit too wide on entry did cost him, pushed him wide, and ended up with the result on the exit of the corner instead of the entry. But yeah, that one's just a little bit embarrassing for Constantini, but he was running so very well up until that point, and he's just going to drop all the way back to the field. I don't think that car's going to come out. Look how bent the chassis is.
Yeah, that's horrible. Horrible luck there from Michel Constantini. So a little bit of attrition coming in, although I did just notice Michel Ricky versus Alexander Dallara. That one is going on right now, although having a look at the lap time, Rishi was 6 tenths of a second slower last time compared to Alexander Dallara. This is for P5, P6 on the racetrack right now. So let's have a look at the lap gaps between them. Two Italian drivers, of course. They seem to be, Richie's losing quite a bit of time over Dallara, trying his hardest to stay in a battle to be within your top 5, running over the kind of exit asphalt area of Bill Mitchell Bend. And these guys will be back on towards pit road in the next 2 to 3, 4 laps time.
Matteo Ugolotti is actually saying it's going to be now as he brings that car down on towards the lane and gets his final pit stop service done for the rest of this race. So pit stop window well and truly open at this point, as Pierre Baudon will also head his way off of pit road after completing his stop as well. There's also going to be Efemenko bringing himself down towards lane Uglins as well. So a lot of these drivers just going for this early second stop.
Yeah, there's Ugolotti then coming out of pit road, and there is his pit stop time, 8.2 seconds, 39.4. Actually, that's not a bad run end-to-end on the lane, but that's, of course, because he did an 8.2. A little bit less fuel needed towards the end of this, and Andrei Efemenko on pit road as we speak. So he's going to get a service. Rob Unglings is going to get a service. You see Neiman going to get a service. These guys are doing what I call counting backwards here, knowing that they can now get to the end of the motor race, and they're coming on, getting the fresher tyres early, knowing that that might help you defend later on in the motor race when things get a little bit tighter at the end, as we can see Ricky Gerhardt coming on towards pit road as well. So a couple of people then pit stopping. Efemenko 8.5, Rob Unglings 8.7, UC Neiman 9.1. So pit stops a little bit earlier than we thought they were going to be, but that's what I mean. Counting back, Connery.
Yeah, it was also because they were also at the tail end of the lead lap, so they pretty close to getting lapped anyway, as Christian Steele will head his way down towards lane. One of the first major players to head his way down in. There's Ricky Gerhardt just getting their way off of the lane, as well as trouble finding the box there, perhaps, for Christian Steele. He pulled into the third box, didn't realize he was actually in the second. This
is a very long pit stop, actually, for him. He's going to tick over. Oh, no, actually not that bad. 39.7. Comparably, yeah, pretty slow pit stop. That would have been about a 41-second pit stop if that was done on the first stint. So he's lost a bit of time. That's actually going to allow Austin Espartee to come a little bit closer.
Dallara and Richie side by side coming in towards the pit lane here as they try to fight for their pit boxes, try and get the best entry into there. And I was wondering, were they side by side coming through the braking zone as well? Well, they did end up going side by side through the braking zone because they both struggled to make the braking zone.
Let's see if we can get ourselves another look at that real quick. We need to just rewind that one a little bit further. There we are, on board with Dallara. And let's actually try and have a look at this one from up above. So you see, Dallara actually had about an 8-car car. Oh, he almost spun that car. And you can just see that as well. Ricky having to go do a little bit of off-roading a little bit early here today. That was very close.
That was also pretty bizarre as well. I've never had someone with that big of a close call coming up on towards the lane. You see, you did mention the bump that comes up into there. He did get up over that bump, and when he came back down, the car just snapped a little bit as he tried to brake for the yellow cones. And Michelle Ricky had to take avoiding action over the grass, and just that was just a bizarre sequence of events.
Yeah, a bit crazy there. Just to let you know, Ricky does win the battle though. 1 second faster because of the fact that he took a second less of fuel, as Adam Blocker, your race leader, is on pit road right now, making his second pit stop of the day, out and away, 39.5. Doesn't need to rush at this point. He's got himself Ricky Gerhardt behind, a lap down at this stage, but no incident as Austin Espartee will come and do his service as well. 38.8 second pit stop. He has closed up to Christine still. Would like to know what the overall gap will be once he gets settled down. It's 5.2 to Steele now. So a lot of work for Austin Espartee to do if he does actually want to make this a second place drive for him. But I think this could still be a close battle, P2, P3, and still has made 1 or 2 slight mistakes here today.
Yes, he has, and let's see if he does make a couple more as the final driver out there on circuit. In fact, the second to last driver out there on circuit to make that final stop. Trevor Coroni heading his way on towards the lane now. We are only waiting now for Kim Short to head their way on towards the lane, so then we can say that all of your drivers have completed their second stops, and we're firmly within this second stint, the stint at the end of the race here. As looking through the field now, we've also got a couple of drivers looking to set themselves fast by times. I'm still keeping my eye on Andrea Fomenko, even though the gap seems relatively big at this stage. Could possibly be a factor at the end of this race. Also, Kim Short here at the back of the field. David Soranzo could be a trouble for Kim Short as they head their way up and over the hill across the line.
Yeah, Richard Tam had a moment down at the final corner, looping that Pepsi Snoopy William Rascar around, touched very gently that hard, unforgiving concrete barrier, is able to carry on. So Richard Tam in the number 13 machine, having a moment, but able to get it, well, I wouldn't say get away with it, able to survive it more than anything else. Closest part we're going to have on track is UC Neiman and David Coroni, actually. But we've also got one developing, Michelle Rishi and Alexander Dallara, that we need to keep an eye out on in the closing 7 or so laps of this event.
Yes, we do. So maybe not all to play for in terms of P1 at the moment, but a couple of positions in your midfield. There is definitely perhaps going to be some excitement as we draw this race towards a close. Looking at, we're going to get an idea of the pace of these drivers the next time they head their way across the line, because a lot of these drivers did head their way on towards the lane, so those lap times are not quite representative at this stage. Number 15 and number 6 still closing up. Soranzo versus Short. Battle for being number 12. Soranzo, he just has acres more grip than Short at the moment. Just able to take that carousel with so much more momentum. Here comes the run down through the boards. Oh, that's a huge blocking move there from Short. And Soranzo will still have the inside line for Canada.
You do not ever want to go doing a little bit of blocking down at the kink here at Road America. Almost an incident about 3 times there. Soranzo able to work himself through past Kim Short. That one deserves another look from our aerial coverage that's been brought to you all year by And One Design. And we'll just see through, and are we going to see this? We might need to change the angle a little bit, but you can see there that Soranzo's trying to move himself to driver's right, and Kim Short basically moving from the left-hand side of the track almost to do exactly the same thing.
Yeah, that was a rather vicious move there from Shorts, and fortunately for both drivers, it didn't end in calamity heading their way on the exit of the kink, and Soranzo did manage to get his way through relatively unscathed, as he has pulled out a massive gap over Kim Short right now. So, you know, I felt that he would have gotten the move done anyway, but got his heart rate up a little bit, as Max Verstappen would say.
Michelle Ritchie versus Alexander Dallara, that actually will be for position. Gaps down to 1.4 seconds. We'll head over to that one in a moment. Looking at Richard Tam momentarily. Got Yusin even ahead of him, of course. Tam had himself a little bit of an incident with the concrete barrier about a lap or so ago. Trying to get back into the top 10 in this field here today. Does look as though he's lost himself from downforce. Cannot keep close for the faster sections of the racetrack, but he's still closing down Yusin Evening, who last time by did a horrible 148.330. About 3 seconds off the pace and 2 seconds below what he normally does here. Pushing out wide on the exit of the corner, Richard Tam. I would say that Tam will try, if he's got any push to pass left, to use one on the exit of turn at number 14. But you've got to make sure you get the run out of the corner. That's what he's going to do. Richard Tam looking to get back into the top 10. This should be easy, Connery.
Yeah, push to pass time perhaps for the number 13 machines. Heads his way towards driver's right-hand side. Maybe a reply on the push to pass from this. You see Niemanen stay side by side into turn number 1, and Niemanen not going to fight that one down to 1.
No, Tam up into P number 10. Dallara Ritchie. Dallara made a bit of a half mistake somewhere by the looks of it. Oh no, Ritchie's passed. No, Dallara is still behind. That's just me for a moment. But yeah, Dallara lost a second and a half. Something's happened there with that number 1 machine over the last half a lap or so whilst I wasn't paying attention to it.
Yeah, actually the lap times seem rather fine. It was a 1:45.3 2 laps ago, 1:45.7. Interesting. Oh, the gap. Yes, the gap. Ritchie, yeah, I'm not seeing anything too different in the lap times here, though it was a pretty terrible lap from Ritchie. It wasn't completely out of the ordinary. It was 6/10 slower than the previous lap that they held. But, yeah, let's just see what happens here. Dallara still did gain around about 0.3 of a second that last time by. Let's see if the gaps change as they head their way across the line this time.
I'm really intrigued to see these lap times as they come past the start-finish line. Alexander Dallara, we're on board with him right now. We're going to get that lap time for you. 1.7.8, yeah. Though 1.5 seconds lost in the space of 1 lap. So Dallara did make a mistake. 146.3 for Michelle Ritchie, and Dallara possibly throw his chance away.
Yeah, I spotted it. It was actually heading it down in towards turn number 5. Oh, it's just a gradual oversteer through the middle of the corner, gets the back ends out, doesn't spin it around completely, but that's the reason for the lost time there, Well,
there we are. Dallara down a position. Well, not down a position, but down on time. And very, very hard to make 2.5 seconds up here in a tight race like this with about 5 laps to go in this event. As there is Adam Blocker. He has been your race leader since the drop of the green flag here today. Kim Short is on pit road, so there might have been a bit of a bigger issue there with Short. Adam Blocker has led pretty much every single lap here. Only time he didn't was when he was coming down pit road, making his early service at the start on the first stint, really. Christian Steele is in 2nd place, currently 6.5 seconds behind Adam Blocker. Austin Esparti in the 3rd position, and Matteo Ugolotti there in P number 4, and Michelle Ritchie rounds out your top 5 as it stands. Then Connery, 5 to go.
Yeah, 5 to go, and the closest battle out there on circuit right now is Ungalinks versus Joad Coroni. Coroni has just been catching the man ahead of him by, well, quite a considerable margin that last time by, for example, over a second that he caught, and this looks to be a theme for the past couple of laps. So Coroni absolutely flying right now. This is a driver that did start from pit lane, of course, as Unglings was very, very squirrely coming through the middle Canada corner there. Going to lose yet more time, and Coroni is within striking distance.
Yeah, 3 tenths per second. Traffic ahead. That is Pierre Bourdon, who moves immediately out of the way. Coroni's within 3 tenths per second. This could be an opportunity to use that push to pass to try and move. No, he's not going to be close enough unless he gets a very quick burst at the end. Maybe Unglings is going defensive. He's been saving up those push to passes.
Yeah, it could be. I think Coroni would have used a lot of them trying to make his way through the field, but good turn number 1 sets himself up for the good turn number 3, but again backs out of the move. Or maybe Coroni's just saving his push to pass for this particular straight, but a very, very good exit from the number 12. Means this move is just starved off just a little bit longer. Coroni, yeah, he's definitely, even with the slipstream, he's not closing up. So has he run out of push to passes with 4.5 laps to go?
Or is he on a higher downforce setting, although he gets a fantastic 1 out of 5, whilst Rob Unglings just works himself a little bit wide on the exit of the corner. The Team No Bueno car then is going to have to really defend through the hurry downs. Right-hand flick should save him. Coroni goes very aggressive on the exit of the corner, but you very, very rarely see passes down into turn number 8.
Yeah, and, very rarely see passes coming through the carousel. You see too wide from here at times. But it is a pretty difficult place to try and make your way by, as Richard Tam behind these guys. Richard Tam out of nowhere now has caught these guys, and it was just a result of Coroni basically getting held up. Here comes the run from Richard Tam, driver's right-hand side, and Tam gets the position.
He gets 1. Can he get 2? We're staying on board of Coroni. You can see that Tam tries to go down to the inside of Rob Unglings, isn't able to do so. Out of nowhere like an RKO, it's Richard Tam as working through Bill Mitchell Bend. These guys are going to give us a nice little grandstand finish. That's going to be a nice one to round out our Friday night prime time for the year. Coroni versus Tam. Let's have a look at the opportunity here. I think Coroni's got more wing on that car, more than anything else. Because Tam hasn't immediately closed up to the rear of Rob Unglings. In fact, though, he is going to do so now, work himself down to the inside, and that is going to be Rob Unglings holding on down into 1.
Yeah, Unglings definitely the weakest car on pace of these 3 at the moment, but the way he's been driving those defensive lines has been keeping him ahead of this pack at this moment in time. Does Tam have another push to pass to use? Another little big chunk of slipstream to use? Yes. Down into turn number 5, battle of the late breakers, perhaps? No, Tam's going to back off of the move, allows Coroni to try and close back up again.
I don't understand, though, why Tam would take turn 5 so passively, when we saw the fact that Unglings almost lost that position by going wide a lap ago. If you know where a driver's weakness is, that's a thing you exploit. So actually for Tam there, he should have been more aggressive into 5 that time.
Yep, he really should have been, and now both of these drivers are basically getting backed up, and you see Niemanen isn't too far away, so if they get stuck behind even onto the final lap here for these guys, you see Niemanen could also be a factor, as he's catching a couple of tenths of a second a lap. Tam is going to still be stuck behind when it comes to the kink, but he's going to get the run off the corner. Yeah,
just like what he did a lap ago, using that very small piece of curb that exists as that road just kinks to the right-hand side. Tam, 2 laps in a row, making a pass into 12, move Tam up into P number 8. Unglings can't close back up through Bill Mitchell Bend. Let us know, by the way. As Unglings goes wide, loses that position to Coroni, and Unglings there, when you go offline, you have a pass, you get off the zone a little bit. That's so often what happens. You make another mistake immediately.
Yeah, exactly, and Unglings is just going to drop back off of these 2 right now. You see Niemanen could get him by the end of this race. It was just very, very slow laps. It seems like there's absolutely no grip on that number 12 machine. Those tires have basically died on that machine and are just dragging that car back through the field. But now let's see what happens with Richard Tam and Gerard Coroni here. It's just sort of they were stuck behind Unglings over the past couple of laps. Now they're in a little bit of clear air. They could potentially show what they're made of.
Yeah, indeed. So I was about to say, let's know what your iRacing plans are for 2018. Get social with us, /RaceSpotTV on Facebook, @RaceSpotTV on Twitter, #RaceSpotTV if you want to tag us in something as well. There's Coroni. Gap's about 7 tenths per second now. Niemanen is closing up on Unglings a little bit. He's been flirting in and out of the top 10. A bit like a teenage boy at prom, really, Connery. But Niemanen He's now got himself about 6 miles if he wants to make the difference.
Yeah, but will Nieminen get the prom date of being inside of that top 10? It's going to be a big ask for him looking at the gap right now, but if those lap times keep dropping Unglink's back and back and back, Nieminen could have a shout with what is going to be 2 laps to go across the line for these guys. And, well, Adam Blocker, he is going to be 1 lap to go when he crosses the line, the race leader. So these guys, even when the checkered flag is out, they still have a little bit more time to try and get themselves up positions.
Yeah, but there is your race leader, Adam Blocker. Absolutely dominant here today in that number 8 machine. Christian Steele, second place. 7.1 behind. Actually, the gap between P number 1 and 2, P number 2 and 3 now almost is exactly the same as we come to the white flag.
Yeah, exactly. And as he mentioned, he's just been absolute dominance from that number 8 machine. He just out-qualified everyone by about 0.3 of a second, and once he just got off the line, there was basically no looking back for the driver from the Carolinas, as you know, this battle further down the field with the likes of Tam, Coroni, Ungelint and Nieminen. I mean, last time by, it was Tam with the advantage, stretching the gap over Coroni. That could just be enough. And Nieminen, he's caught up another around about half a second up to Unglin, so it's completely close. Yeah,
looking at Austin Esparti, the gap between himself and the race leader. After 30.5 laps of racing, 15.2 seconds. Not a bad day in the office for Austin Esparti from Club New England, but of course, even though he's on the podium, he wishes that he could have been stood in the middle. Adam Blocker then. Just a couple of corners left to go, heading himself through the carousel for the final time. And you can see on the rear of that car, as I said earlier on, it says Clemson on it. Clemson are looking to try and make it 2 national championships in a row over the next couple of weeks in college football. But today, Adam Blocker gives Clemson, himself, the Carolinas, a victory of his own. Just now, Bill Mitchell bend to go, and the final corner, Adam Blocker, number 8 machine, will be the winner in our final Friday night primetime broadcast of 2017. Up the hill for the final time, Adam Blocker wins at Road America.
Absolutely dominant display from Mr. Blocker there. Christian Steele will head his way across the line to take P number 2. Austin Esparti will get himself P number 3. And all 3 top drivers in qualifying, P1, P2, P3, end up finishing P1, P2, P3. As Nieminen and Ungelink, they are very, very close. This could be a pass into turn 5, Will.
Yep, there is Nieminen. Down the inside, he's going to look. Will he force the issue? No. So he stays where he is for the time being. Of course, he has got one more big passing opportunity to go. That will be Canada corner, but Nieminen didn't look passive at all. We've got a car off that. It's Coroni. Yeah. So now Nieminen doesn't even need to worry. He is on the top 10. He's still going to go for P number 9. We'll get the replay of Coroni in a moment's time. In fact, let's try and see if we can get it really quickly for you now. Here is Coroni on board of him. Well, that is into the kitty litter down at turn number 6, underneath the Corvette bridge. Here's a look at them again. We're going to have to turn this back to live coverage any second now. You can just see oversteer into the corner. But you've got Nieminen, you've got Sorrento. They're all going at it right now. 2 wide. They're almost going to be 3 wide into Canada corner.
Almost 3 wide, and Sorrento will get the pass around the outside, but has he broken himself for the apex? In fact, he does get it through the corner relatively okay, and now can Ungelint hold on with a car that has been absolutely diabolical in terms of grip in the last couple of laps here. Sorrento closes up, coming through turn number 14, looks to get the run off the corner, perhaps will not get the run off the corner. No push to pass to use, only slipstream to use, but Ungelint will hold on there, and Sorrento will just have to settle for the position behind of P number 10, but P number 9 finish for that number 12 machine. That is great considering we saw what he went through in those last couple of laps.
Yeah, here's a look then as these drivers were to come in towards Canada corner. Let's roll the tape for you. 1, 2, 3, side by side. You had Sorrento on the outside versus UC Nieminen as they come through the corner. Outside line working there down at turn number 12 for Sorrento. Nieminen, after being inside the top 10, when David Coroni had himself his moment, falls back outside the top 10.
Well, he did not end up getting that prom date when all is said and done, and that's a life lesson right there. But I have to say, again, massive props to that number 12 machine. He held on to that car through those final couple of laps, even though the car was doing nothing for him. And P number 9 result after that, an absolutely brilliant drive.
Well, there's a look then at our final race results of the final Friday Night Prime Time of 2017 from Road America. Carolina, the Clemson-sponsored car of Adam Blocker claims victory by 7.1 seconds over Christian Steele. Austin Esparti in third place, Matteo Ugolotti in fourth, and then Michelle Ritchie rounds out your top 5. Alessandro Dalladone in 6th place, Andre Efimyenko in 7th, Tam in 8th, Unglinks in 9th, Soranzo rounds out your top 10. All the top 10 finished on the lead lap here today. Houston Heeman, it's been an up and down day for him. He comes home in 11th place. David Caroni saw that last lap. He had himself an incident, fell down into 12th place after really making a big mess of it down at turn number 6. Then Ricky Gerhardt 1 lap down, as was Kim Short. The retirees, Pierre Bordeaux didn't retire. He actually had himself a couple of laps on pit road, but Michelle Constantini, now McBride, and Andrew Kinsella all did retire from this motor race. Let's take a break here on RaceSpotTV, iRacing Live. When we come back, we've got interviews. We'll wrap up 2017 on Friday Night Prime Time. We'll be back in a bit.
Red Bull GRCs are now available on iRacing. I personally put my blood, sweat, and tears into this thing, developing the cars, the tracks, the dirt, making sure it is authentic as possible, and I really think you guys are going to love it. The best part is that this 600 horsepower Volkswagen Beetle is free to all members. So get signed up now and come race me online.
The yellow flag is out. Pit road is now open. Keep your eye on those gauges. We'll give you 4 tyres. 3, 2, 1, now. We're done. Get going.
As mentioned earlier, don't forget, we've got more IndyCar racing in 2018 on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. Third season of the classic IndyCar Series on RaceSpotTV. The old school IR09 car doing battle in full race distances. And, of course, we are your home for the biggest event in all of sim racing. Oh yeah, that's right, the 2018 iRacing Indianapolis 500 live, exclusive, only on RaceSpotTV. Let's get back then. A lot of drivers for once for us to interview here, Connery.
Yeah, it is pretty packed here in the booth. We have your race winner, you have your, well, at least one of your, actually both of your podium, other podium positions as well, so we get to do a full interview segment. Not in prime time, no.
Wow.
I don't think so. Wow.
It's the first time for everything. Adam Blocker is stood by with Connery Maddock.
Yeah, well, Adam, well, what can I say, really? Fantastic qualifying effort, got you into that pole position spot. And like I said in the broadcast, you basically never looked back.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that I was that much faster than Christian and Austin, but you know, I just, you know, managed to put together a good race and make any mistakes, concentrate on being smooth, and you know, I had a little bit of pressure to keep me honest along the way.
What pressure?
I mean, if you look, the gap between Christian and I was consistent most of the time. It's just occasionally every 5 laps or so he'd make a little mistake and that would increase it by half a second. I mean, Christian got the fastest lap of the race, so I mean, clearly he had the pace. Just, I don't know, I guess I was more consistent.
I guess that counts for at least a little bit pressure from a distance there from the drivers behind you. But in terms of this track, Road America is an absolute classic on the North American calendar. And you know, what does it take to drive an IndyCar around here?
It takes a lot of being really cautious and really smooth, because all the setups that we have to run are really low downforce because of the straights, but that makes the braking areas very tricky. You have to be very gentle on the brakes to make sure not to lock up an inside tire that will cause you to spin, or you know, on the exit of corners there's a lot of weird cambers, or the road might not be, you know, very smooth, and it's very easy to spin if you're, you know, too hard on the throttle, especially in the kind of race we were doing today where it's a hot track temp and a long race. You know, it's really easy to make mistakes like that.
Yeah, and we saw quite a few mistakes from other drivers through the field, but you seemed very, very consistent there. I don't think you really put a foot wrong. Granted, the cameras weren't on you that much because you were so far ahead, but you know, just a flawless race.
Yeah, I had a couple moments. I had one off track at the end that cost me a couple seconds, but yeah, overall it was a good race. I'd like to thank Brian Carey and Andrew Kinsella for doing the setup for our team, and I want to give a shout out to our team, Powerslide Motorsports. We got a 1-2-3 in this race, pretty much dominated. It was good.
Hey, well, I think Adam's so used to being here, I don't even have to ask the question of, is there anyone he wants to give a thank you to?
I have got a question for him, though. Adam, who would you rather face in the championship final, Oklahoma or Georgia?
I don't know. I think they're going to win either way. Clemson's going to win either way, so it's going to be good.
Go beat Bama on New Year's Day. Well done. Adam Blocker getting himself first place to win the W in Wisconsin. Second place, Christian Steele. Christian. Overall good race here. Pit stop. It was slower than a Bitcoin transaction at Fukushima.
Yeah, I did not practice my pit stop, so definitely lost a few seconds there. But I think Adam just had a little bit more raw pace anyway, so it didn't really matter that much.
Talk about the race then, because you held on for the first 5 laps or so. Was it tire degradation? Was it just the fact the track wasn't adjusting to your liking? Or were you more focused on S&T behind and Blocker ahead?
I was focused on Adam, but one of my weaknesses is that when somebody's ahead of me, I focus too much on trying to catch them, and I tend to make a lot more mistakes. So I think in terms of raw pace, he was definitely a 10th or 3/10ths, somewhere between there, but I made like a couple big mistakes. Like in the last corner, I probably lost 2 seconds because I got a pretty big slide there. I'm not sure if you guys caught that though.
We did. That was a power slide.
Oh, okay.
No other comments.
Jesus took the wheel. Power slide.
Yeah. Go on, say the entire one. Say it.
Can I just thank the team? I'd like to thank Team Enthusiastically Hold Up My Broken Rebel X Arrow Raptor Daddy Banshee Snakes as Jesus takes the wheel through a power slide.
There we are.
I'm probably going to remember that until I'm like 70 years old.
Final question. Next stop, 2018. When do you start preparing for Indy?
Just the thought of that is kind of not exciting me, but probably in February, I'd say. But we got a pretty good setup for qualifying at least. So I just want to make the top 15 or so in qualifying, and then we'll just work and race from that point onward.
Christian Steele, second place for him here this evening. Austin SPT stood by with Connery.
Yeah, I have Austin right here, and well, qualified P number 3 ended up in that P number 3 position, as it was, at the end of the race at least, a relatively quiet race for you, around about 7-8 seconds ahead to Christian Steele, and well, much wider margin all the way back to Matteo Ugolotti in that number 7 machine. And just you know, you seemed relatively consistent out there, and just looking at your lap times, you didn't really dip out of the 144 mark pretty much at all, apart from just a hitch here and there. So you were definitely very consistent throughout the entirety of this race, but 144s aren't really going to do enough if the cars ahead of you are running 143s on occasion. But you know, is there anything you could do about that?
Definitely practice more. I didn't think I was actually going to run this race, and I showed up, ran 2 laps of practice, and thought I was like good enough for mid-pack, qualified third. And then when I got in front of Christian, I just wasn't focused, and I kind of let him go and just ended up just riding around and trying to pull a gap, or which we did. And from there I just rode around and tried to be consistent, and because I had no confidence in the setup at all throughout the entire 32 laps.
Yeah, speaking of the setup, in fact, we heard from the other drivers that you do typically run a lower downforce setup here, but in terms of the rest of the car setups, I'm not going to ask you to give away all of the secrets, of course, but you know, setting a car up for Road America, usually you want to maximize the exits of these corners. The entries don't matter all that much.
It's definitely exits more important here, because you just basically throw it in, and if you throw it in fast and try to outbrake someone, they're just gonna get you on an exit. But the setup has been turned around to about 7 different tracks, so I mean, it's definitely a good universal setup. It's pretty low downforce, but you really want to maximize exit speed on mostly every track.
Yeah, you really do. And looking in towards the new year, we're only a couple of days away from it, and you know, with the various series that you're running, you know, and of course the big event in the month of May. How are you guys preparing for that one? Have you started preparing already this far in advance, or are you just going to wait a month or 2 before you get into that thing?
As Christian said, he'll probably start practicing in February, but I'll probably just wait till 2 weeks before the race and go from there.
Yeah, that will probably be the plan for you guys. Is anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Just everyone at Absolute Power Slide. Christian for making this setup about like a 1.5 years ago, I think it was. And it still works, and it's still fast. And just everyone on the team.
Yeah, well, there we go. That was Austin SPT, final podium finisher in this race at Road America. Well,
yeah, who else we got? We got Alexander Dallara. Alessandro, P number 6 here today. Saw you in a number of battles through the course of this motor race. Take us through it.
It was a safe race, you can say. Got a really bad result in qualifying, but I was fine with that, because honestly the setup I tried just for this race without any practice was junk, so I was not confident, consistent throughout all the race, and just keep it safe. And unfortunately some people got out of the race, out of contention, and I managed to get P6, but I was happy with just a 10th place finish today, because speed was not there all over the race. I struggled a lot fighting with Michele Ricci and the other Italian guys. We had fun, but it was a tough race. Obviously, when you have not the right setup, things are not so fun, you know. With hot weather, then it's almost impossible to keep the car on track if you are not confident, especially here on a high-speed track like Road America.
What's your plans for 2018 in terms of running the IndyCar? Any particular events that you're looking forward to?
Honestly, no. I left IndyCar racing last year. I'm just showing up for some races along the season when I have time, and also Michele Costantini is racing, so we practice together, but I'm focusing more on the GT side this year, but it's always nice to be back in IndyCar.
Well, I'll rephrase the question then. What are you looking forward to in GT racing in 2018?
I'm practicing a lot, so it's a new challenge. A lot of people I don't know about, a lot of new faces. It will be really, really tough. Competition is really, really strong, so let's see how it goes. It will be my rookie year, we can say. So let's hope for the better.
Well, thank you very much, Alessandro Dalladone. Then, actually, that gives us a nice little segue here, Connery, because, of course, we've got ourselves a number of iRacing special events for 2018. We will kick it off with the Raw before the 24. The week after that, it is time, and I've been waiting quite a while to do this, to play this music. Of course, you can't hear it yet. The 24 hours of Daytona will kick off our endurance package for 2018. And Connery, you know what? I always say, I know there's races before Daytona. It's a 24-hour race that goes on in Dubai. But motor racing starts properly for me when we hit the high banks of Daytona.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. Well, the Daytona 24-hour race has always been the race that kicks off everything in the new year in terms of motorsports. I absolutely cannot wait for the iRacing service to hit that track and hit those 24 hours hard, and it should be a very, very fun broadcast as well.
And then, for the first time ever, 12-hour GT race at Bathurst. iRacing have listened. We're going to put down the Bathurst 1000 for a year. We're going to go GT racing down at, in my opinion, one of the greatest racetracks up and down the mountain, Mount Panorama.
Yeah, that is just a whole bunch of yes from me. GT racing at Bathurst. That has the recipe for some fairly interesting things to happen. That mountain is oh so challenging, and tackling that mountain and coming up and all the way down it, of course, as well, in an endurance event, doing that lap after lap after lap. That is going to be one of the most difficult endurance races on the calendar, short of a 24-hour race.
Yeah, and of course, we will then go... I need to, first of all, make sure I turn the broadcast off at the end of that one, maybe. Sebring 12-hour, that'll be on March 10th and 11th. Nürburgring 24-hour, in other words, when I try and take my vacation, May 5th and 6th. And then for the IndyCar fans, May 19th and 20th, 5 p.m. GMT on May the 19th, we go back home again, one more time to Indiana.
Back home again to the Brickyards, and many of the drivers that you see and have seen in this race, especially those top guys, will be perhaps, if they qualify themselves in, will be racing in that Indy 500 as well. It's one race on the iRacing calendar that you just do not want to miss.
And actually qualifying for that event, Connery, I'd almost argue, is as hard, if not harder, than actually the race itself. I mean, the race is always high, fast paced, but qualifying, I did it once, and it almost tore me apart thousandths of a second between getting in and getting out.
Oh, so close, but those are the margins in IndyCar qualifying, especially at the Indy 500. You're just millimeters from these walls at times, trying to extract the maximum pace, the maximum speed out of the car. And as I said, fractions of a second can make all the difference of hitting that top split and being dumped to the second.
6 hours of Glen in June. The King's Royal, that's going to be a shootout 410 sprint car event on July 7th and 8th. 24 hours of Spa. Means I get to pull out the Spa music as well at some point. And then, of course, we'll have ourselves the 24 hours of Le Mans. That's going to take place in August, mid-August, which is always a weird one for me. Why is it so late, Connery? Of course, you're waiting for, you know, dynamic time. We're waiting for LMP1. Is it late for a reason?
Yeah, we can all speculate here, and, well, we're not going to get any answers because both of us do not know the answer unless you're hiding something from me, Will, but, yeah, who knows?
Then, of course, we've got ourselves a Petit Le Mans. That is the 2018 iRacing special event. So, a lot to look forward to then. Of course, we're going to be the home hopefully, of the 2018 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, the 2018 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing, the 2018 Blancpain GT Series, and of course, we've got things like the Neo Endurance Series, Monday Night Primetime, Friday Night Primetime, Classic IndyCar Series, Skip Barber 2K World Cup, World of Outlaws, Global Rally Cross. We got ourselves some more NASCAR in the mix there as well. We've got DGFX. We've got ourselves other hosted series. So much for us to look forward to as we say goodbye to 2017 and welcome in a new year. You know what? I almost feel like Vince McMahon right now, making himself a promo. Before we go, ladies and gentlemen, I need to bring up, I hope this is the right one. You blew it. You blew it earlier on, Connery. What's behind the side pod?
Oh, it's an airbox.
There we are. Not a random piece of bodywork. So Connery Maddock blows it on the final broadcast of the year. Also, I'm going to put it up again. Connery Maddock, you blew it.
It's an airbox.
No. There's another one. UC Yessie. UC Yessie. It's UC today. Yessie's over in the Pro Series.
You know, I don't even know what to say with that one. You know, I just have both drivers in my head at the same time, and whichever one comes out is basically 50-50. To
be fair, I can't really complain. I made so many mistakes of names that there's almost a couple of highlight reels. But from all of us here at RaceSpotTV, ladies and gentlemen, of course, we've got 3 more races here tonight. We've got ourselves some racing over in GRC. That will be later on this evening. We're going to have some fantastic racing as we go to Lucas Oil Raceway in Indiana. We've got World of Outlaws late models at Knoxville, World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series at Lanier. But to all of the viewers watching here tonight, thank you so much for making Friday Night Primetime what it has been over the last 2 years. We love doing this for you. We've done it all year. Connery Maddock, Will Vincent, peace out. See ya on the other side. Goodbye.